welcome back to Stylish Naija channel. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers. Thank you guys for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your love, for your support. If you are new to the channel, you're highly and very welcome. If you have not subscribed already, please, I would appreciate if you hit on the subscribe button and then hit on the bell also to get an update whenever I upload a new video. So that's just like basically the essence of hitting on that bell. Okay, so if you want to register for my online classes, you can just see my number scrolling through the screen. Send me a message on WhatsApp. I'll give you the details of all of the classes we have presently available. And then you can follow me on all of my social media platforms: Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, all at Stylish Naija. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to cut and sew a palazzo with an elastic waist. Yes, you heard it. That's what we're going to learn how to cut and sew today. So this is the fabric that I'm going to be making use of. So I have about 3 yards of fabric here. It's a cotton fabric. So that's what I'm going to be making use of. And these are the measurements that we're going to be making use of. The hip measurement is 46. So my hip measurement normally is 40. So I just added an extra of 6 inches because I want it very free from the top down. And then the full length of my palazzo is 45. And then the crotch measurement, I'm going to divide the 46. I'll divide the 46 into 4. I'm going to have 11.5. So I'll just add about 1 inch allowance to it to give it 12.5. So that's what I'm going to use for my crotch. And then the elastic waist part, I'm going to be using 3 inches on fold. So I'll just place all of these measurements, fold my fabric now, and then we'll place them, and we are going to begin. So this is like a beginner's friendly tutorial. As a beginner, just follow all of the steps. I'll try as much as I can to explain it, just to make it very detailed, so as a beginner you'll be able to pull this off. So please, if you find this video helpful, please, I would appreciate if you hit on the like button. I would appreciate that. Thank you. Let's get started. Okay guys, so now we're going to start marking our palazzo. So you need to just pay attention to everything that I'm doing. So you can see I made a fold here. So this fold is what I'm going to use for my elastic casing. So like I said, I'm using about 3 inches. So this is about 3 inches. So this part is the serge part. That's this, what do you call it? The savage. I'm going to trim it off. So I'm using about 3 inches. So you just fold how many inches? If you want a band of 2 inches, you just fold it at your 2 inches. Okay. So I have my crotch line here, which is this first line. Sorry, I said my crotch, my hip line, which is 9 inches here. And then I have my crotch line here, just like I explained earlier. And then I have my knee line. So you measure from the top to your knee. So I have about 20 inches for my knee here. And then I have from the top, I have my full length of my palazzo, which is 45 inches. So when I'm cutting, I'll add a little bit of allowance to it. So that's it. So, and then how did I fold my fabric? I used the wideness of my palazzo. So I want the width of my palazzo, that's the wideness, to be about 15 inches. So that is what I use in folding my fabric. So now we're going to start measuring all our measurements. This part is going to be faced down like this until you can open it up, but I'm going to leave it like this so to make it easier for us. So the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to come, this is my starting line, my startup point. So from this point, so for the waist measurement, I'm going to use the same wideness. So that's just what I'm going to use. That's the width that I'm using for my crouch. That's my hip and line. Crouch line is the same thing, which is 11.5. So like I said, I'm using 11.5. So from this part, I'm just going to come in by 1 inch. So I just want to try and get a shape, even though it's not a really shapy trouser. So I'm just going to curve it anyhow, just curve it straight like that. And then from this part, I'm going to use my straight ruler. I'm just going to mark it straight. Sorry about that. I'm just going to mark it straight for the down part of mine. So I just mark it straight. So note it is straight. And then the next thing now, I'm going to use my 11.5. That's 11.5 that I'm using for that's when you divide your hip measurement into 4. You have 11.5. So I'll come here like this, and then I'll mark my 11.5 here. So if you are going to add any dart, you add it here, but for this I'm not going to add any dart, so I'm just going to add a stitching allowance of 1 inch, which is, that gives me 12.5. And then from this part I'm going to mark my crouch measurements now. So on this crouch line, so let me mark the lines, I'm so sorry. So this is my waist, this is my hip line, this is my crouch line. So on this crouch line, we're going to put the wideness of our trouser. So here, I said I'm using 15 inches. So I'll mark my 15 inches here. This is 15 inches. I'm just going to add just about 1.5 inch or 1 inch for allowance. So you really don't need much again because it's wide. So from the waistline now, 11.5 plus 1 inch. So I'm just going to mark it like this all across, and then I'll curve it into the crouch line like this. You understand? So normally I'm supposed to put my hip measurement here, but if you note, I did not use, so the hip and measurement, the same thing that I'm using for my waist, that's what I'm using for my hip. Then here is where I added the wideness of my trouser, and then on the knee line I'm going to use the same thing that I have here now, which is 16 inches. I'm just going to bring it here also, and then I'll use the same. So you see, notice it is the same width. So from here I'm just going to go, I'll just mark this like this, and then I'll mark this for the down part also. I'm using the same 15 inches. So I'll come to this down part, I'll mark my 15 inches like this, and then I'll use my ruler like this. I want it straight, you understand? So I'll use my ruler and then straighten it out, so you can see. So I hope you can see. So the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to cut this out right now. So I'll cut from here. So the next thing, I'm going to notch this part. That's where my band is. I'm just going to give it notches, so I will know that that is like where I'm going to fold it to. So I'll notch it there like that. So now I can open this up so you can see my notch here. So this is my extra inches. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to place this and then cut out the back. So like I said, the waist is the same, the waist and the hip is the same measurement. Then the thigh, that's from the thigh, which is with the crouch side down, is the same measurement. Okay, so I've cut out the first piece and then I folded my fabric again into two for us to cut out the back piece. So for the back piece, I'm just going to spread it straight open. There's no point of me folding the waist area again, so I'll just place it straight. Okay, so I folded this now. So the next thing now, on the crouch area, that's the only part I'm going to increase. So for this, I'll just check what I have here. So I have about 2 inches, which is just perfect. And then that 2 inches on this part, I'm going to come out a little bit by 1 inch. And then that 1 inch, I'm just going to take it like this. I'll bring it to this part. So since, because it is a free trouser, so that is why, if not, normally you can just come like this and just finish it up on that edge. And then on this side, I'm just going to come like this. Note what I'm doing. So I'm using about, on this side, that's after these 2 inches, I'm just coming down, and then as I'm coming, I'm reducing it. I'll just reduce it to about half of an inch on this side, but on this side I'm not adding anything. So I'm going to cut this side. It's going to be equal exactly. So I hope you understand what I just did. So I'm going to go over it again because of the sake of the beginners here. So on this waist side, I just came out a little bit by 1 inch and then floated it into this part. On this crouch area, I came out by 2 inches. So take a look at it. You can see that it is 2 inches. It is 2 inches on this side. So on this side, this top part, that's where it is 1 inch. And then on this side, I just came like this, and then as I'm coming, I reduced it to about 1 inch, and then floated it into this part, 1 inch on this whole side, but on the crotch area 2 inches, and then on this other side I'm not adding anything. It's just going to be the same exactly. So I hope you get it. So I'm going to cut it out right now. So remember to add your notch when you get to this part. Just hold all of them together and notch it back. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to measure out the pocket now. So for the pocket, I I've already cut it out before I got it straight into the camera. So I'm just going to explain it. So this is the back piece. So this is the back piece. Let's just take out the back piece. So this is the front piece now. So for my pocket, so I bought fabric. So you can see the fabric. My fabric is folded into four. So it is a straight fabric folded into four. The length is 1 inch below my hip line. So on the down part of it, I just curved this out like this and then trimmed it out. So it's just a straight fabric, that you fold into four, and then I carved out this just a part of it. So on this other part, I cut out 1 inch. I just trimmed out 1 inch from this part. So this part, I did not capture it. So that is why I'm just redoing, explaining it. I just don't want to still leave it out of the video. So I just cut out just 1 inch. So let me use the back as an example for you. So for the back like this, I just cut out 1 inch like this from this side like this, just came in by 1 inch and then trim it out like this just to get my pocket. So now we're going to go and stitch on the machine. Okay, so for the pocket, so I'm going to show you how to stitch this. So this is the pocket side, and then that's the right side of my fabric. So this is the my curved part. So this part is where I'm going to stitch. So I'm just going to take the right side of this part. I'm going to place it here like this. I'm going to stitch it up to this point like this. So I'll take it like this, and then I'm going to stitch. So I'll stitch it to that crouch line almost to the end, and then I'll stop, and then I'm just going to trim this off like this. So just use the shape of the crotch area to trim this out. That's sorry, I did the pockets. I meant to say to trim this out. And then after trimming, this is what I'm going to have on the inside. So I'll take this back now to my machine and my ironing table, and then I'll iron this out. I'll take it back and iron it, and then bring it back and show you how it will look like. Okay, so you remember we stitched down the pocket. So the next thing, you're going to fold it in like this. So it is folded inside now. So this is the part that we stitched. So I'm going to bring this back to this side like this. So I hope you understand what I did. So this was the shape of the pocket originally. So you just fold it back the way it was. And then this is the outside. So you can see it now. So this part, I'm going to secure this part down from the outside. Now secure this. So you pull it a little bit up so it fits on the same line. So this can be a little bit trickish, trying to turn the pocket inside. So all you are going to do, just try and turn it back, just flip it back this way. So that's that. And then the next thing is to stitch this. So this, you can stitch it in two ways. You can decide to stitch it from the inside, or you can decide to stitch it from the outside. So you can see what is left. This is what is left now. That's that part that we carved out. So you just fold it in like this from this edge like this, and then stitch it back down. So I'm going to open it up now. Let's see. Okay, so you can see what we have here. So like I said, I did not take out much from my pocket, so that is why I have this. As I did not take out much cut. If I had came in more, the pocket would be more obvious. So the next thing now is for us to join our crouch together. That's front crouch, that's the two front crouch. So this is the other side of the front. I'll place them together like this, and then I'll stitch it on the crouch area, the crouch line. You remember that crouch line like this. So I'll stitch it to the down. So I hope you can see. Okay, so after joining the front, the two fronts together and the two back, I'm going to take my palazzo here on the center, that's the crouch line, and then I'm going to stitch, hold this part, I'll stitch this to this down part, to the hem of my trouser, and then I'll hold this side and stitch this down to the hem also. Okay, so you can see, so I finished stitching my palazzo, I've ironed it and it's looking good. So you can see my pocket is looking good, everything is looking good. I've ironed and then I've trimmed the down part. So we are almost done. So the next thing now is for us to fold the waist part of our trouser. So remember how many inches we used. So I'm going to fold, I'm going to just you can take it from anywhere, and then I'm going to fold it down. So since I already have my savage for on my trouser, so I'm going to pin it down. So the extra inches that I added, I'm going to pin it down, and then I'm going to stitch it round. You understand? So I just use my savage marks to stitch it down like this, round. So I'm going to go and do that. I'll bring it back and show you. I'm going to add a design on the top part of my elastic. So this is the elastic that I'm going to be making use of. Okay, so I'm going to explain what I did for you. So this is the stitch that our original stitch. So I secured it down on my original stitch. That's the original fold that we did. So after that, I made another stitch on top of it. So I hope you can see it. I'm trying to bring it as close as I can. So this is negligible. Why I did this, I just wanted to add a little bit of design. So like a paper bag waist. So when I use the elastic on it, this part is going to just have like a paper bag design. So that's why I did that. If not, other than that, you can just fold it down with one stitch and just continue. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to take my elastic. So this is my elastic. So I'll use my pin. So while I was doing this, I left a little bit of space on one of the parts. So I just left space on this part, so I'll be able to pass my elastic through this. So for my elastic, I'm just going to pass my elastic, and then I would, after passing it, I will use, actually did not measure out the amount of elastic that I'm using. So I'm just going to put it, after putting it, I'll measure it to my waist measurement. So I don't want it to be too tight. So all of this I'm going to put, so I'll just keep passing it through. It looks like it got stuck, I don't know why. Okay, so I'll just do that, and once I'm done, I'll come back and show you. Okay, so you can see how it is really looking beautiful. So at the end of the day, so when I stretch out, I'm going to have about 40 inches. And my waist, originally my waist is 32, which is okay. So when I place like this, so you can see, so this will really fit into my waist properly. So for you to know, just stretch it out, because I actually did not want to cut the elastic. Sometimes it gives problem. So now what is remaining is just for me to finish the down, and then I'll place it on the mannequin. So it actually came out really fine. So you can see how beautiful the back part is looking. It really look fine, the waist area. Okay guys, so at the end of the day, you can see how our palazzo with elastic waist looks like. So you can see the waist area. So you can see it's really looking fine and very simple and easy. So thank you so much. If you find this video helpful, please hit on the like button. If you have not subscribed already, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much. I will see you